This GEICO 500 betting picks edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Play their fantasy pick'em for a chance to win 100x in NBA, MLB, MMA, NHL, golf, NASCAR, F1, and more. Sign up today using promo code RACE SGPN to get a 100% deposit match. Plus, the NFL draft is coming up, and Old Fashioned Football is giving away some autographed NFL merch. Head to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/OFF contest to enter today.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you ask me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Welcome in to the Super Speedway edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez. It's Talladega, baby. Cannot wait for Ricky Bobby to get on fire and to roll around this track and to shake and bake one last time, buddy.
Oh, Talladega. I love it. You know, Rod, Super Speedway racing is my favorite type. It is 500 miles of action-packed racing, constant side-by-side battling, constant action. You're on pins and needles the whole time because there is just, yes, it's so much fun. Obviously, we get the spectacular wrecks. That can be good for your bets. It can be bad for your bets. We know it can go both ways, but man, I love Super Speedway racing. Talladega, great place to go watch a race, and great race to watch on TV as well.
You know, it's funny because my whole handicap for this entire race is just anytime I say anything for a bet, it's just going to be followed by because Dega. And there's really nothing else that I can say besides Dega, right? I mean, it's just, I don't know how else you go across handicapping this race because super speedways, as we know, if you are new to the betting episode, if you are new to the show altogether, because Talladega and GEICO 500, the search crawlers brought you here, just understand that super speedway racing gives you some of the most unpredictable yet highly entertaining and frustrating racing at all season long.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, good time to insert look, betting on super speedway is a lot of fun, Rod. I personally think it's the most exciting way to bet, but we know the volatility because of the wrecks. So when you place these, you have to approach super speedways differently. This isn't a normal week. This isn't Texas last week. It's not Dover next week. You bet completely differently at those places. You come into this with a set budget that you're counting as lost, basically, and gone, and you place these bets. You expect to lose all of them because Talladega is chaos, but gives us the opportunity to hit some really good value, hit big bets. Done it plenty of times before, and we've also had races where you don't hit anything because everybody gets wiped out in the wreck, and we know it goes both ways. So obviously, always gamble responsibly, but even more so this weekend. But that being said, Rod, holy shit, I filled up the card this week. I found a lot of fucking stuff I love, and I'm writing an article as well for sportsgamblingpodcast.com. There's going to be more bets in there because I couldn't, as much as I tried to squeeze as many into here as possible, couldn't get them all in. So make sure you check that out on the site as well. I love betting on super speedways.
Yeah, again, and it's the one where you're going to see the most favorable odds for you each and every week because, again, it's like that nobody knows. It's a roulette wheel. So definitely keep an eye on that. Also keep an eye out for one of our other favorite shows on this network. We know you are watching this show or listening to this show, but there's other fantastic shows, including Old Fashioned Football, and the NFL draft is around the corner. Old Fashioned Football is giving away some autographed merch to celebrate. You want JSN? Maybe Travis Etienne? Maybe J.K. Dobbins, maybe Frank Gore. Well, don't worry about the Frank Gore one. That one's mine. So you guys can fight over the other ones. Old-fashioned football. Come for the football. Stay for the whiskey. You want in on this contest? Yes, you do. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/OFF contest. All right.
Quick, catching up on the chat, Rod. Walter was in here 3 hours before the show started, ready for plate racing. Let's get that money. CT checking in. Larson will get his first super speedway win this weekend, take it to the bank. Actually, he won't because Roddy's won a super speedway in the Xfinity before. So there you go, Chris. I found a way to beat you on that one. Keith wants to know if it's Eric Jones time. Stand by. He's going to be talked about for sure. Gary's going to be at the race this weekend at Talladega. Hasn't been there since 2007. Have fun, buddy. Man, I've not been to Talladega in person, but that's definitely one of the top ones on the list. Justin checking in saying the 1 week he didn't bet on Elliott, he won. Don't worry, we got some bets on Elliott coming up as well. Also, first time listening live, loves the podcast, listens every week for all 3 series, just like you should. Ash also checking in from across the pond. Robert checking in, says the pod always makes him happy. Well, that makes me happy, right? I'm glad that makes him happy. And Brandon saying, Dega, baby, first in-person race. Oh, first in-person race at Talladega. You are doing it correctly, Brandon. Let's fucking go. Oh, I'm so excited, Rod.
I know. And what's crazy is that this chat, all of you folks, I know I said I don't need yes men, but today I need all the encouragement I can get. I came in here today full of anger, full of rage because of the day that I've had, but you guys are making this so much better. So hopefully we make it better for you as well. All right, Cody, it is the GEICO 500 at the Talladega Superspeedway. It's Dega, baby. We are so excited for some racing. It is the 188 laps around this 2.6 mile paved track for 500.080 miles of super packed action, my friend. Definitely looking forward to that. Cody, what's the entry list looking like?
Yeah, so entry list, you've got your rotator cars in the 15 and 16. Cody Ware making his first return since being suspended. Back for Rick Ware Racing. He'll be back in the 15 car this weekend. Shane Van Gisbergen making another Cup Series start, getting some more super speedway experience. Rod, 2 for 2 in the Xfinity Series top 5s. So keep an eye out on him. Anthony Alfredo is back in the Beard Motorsports 62 car once again. And BJ McLeod also entering as an open car. 38 entries, so all 38 of these drivers will make the race.
Absolutely love every single second of that. And yeah, we've got a full betting card. We want to hurry up and get to it for you. So let's do that. Let's get this out of the way real quick before we do that and tell you about Underdog Fantasy. The NBA playoffs are here, and our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy, wants to make it a lot more interesting. If you listen to this show for more than 5 minutes, you already know what Underdog Fantasy is. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. Plus, playing their pick'em game is as simple as selecting higher or lower, or as you know in racing, better than or worse than their projected finishing positions or their stats like points, rebounds, assists in those basketball worlds. If you guys, there's baseball that's going on right now, make all of those entries, whether it's basketball or baseball or whatever your favorite sport is, like racing. You can win up to 100 times your money. Of course, it's a heck of a lot of fun. Underdog is available in 30 states and more, including California, Texas, and even Canada. I'm telling you right now, I'm looking at this Underdog for Talladega. We're not going to talk about him today, but I will give Ty Gibbs. I'll give Ty Gibbs some love. His finishing position is set at 12.5. I'm going to say better than in this instance. Ty Gibbs is due for a good finish, so that's one of my favorite Underdog. We'll give you an entire slate of Underdog later on this week, so make sure you go there as well. All right. Another way to sign up right now. Use our promo code RACESGPN. Underdog is going to be running a ton of different promos, bonus cash, airdrop, special giveaways, and more throughout the NBA playoffs. So make sure to follow at Underdog Picks on Twitter to keep an eye out. So go sign up with that promo code RACESGPN. And there's a pick'em special for the Friday play-in games on the 19th of this month with the players to be determined. This special should go live in the lobby for eligible new customers when they sign up the morning of April 18th. Woo! Make sure you go sign up right now. UnderdogFantasy.com or the app with our promo code RACESGPN.
Rod, I just pulled up my Underdog because I wanted to look at some stuff. I looked at my balance, and it's $73.10 bigger than it was. Apparently, I won a Masters giveaway and got free $73.10 in bonus credits. So if you're not an underdog, you should be on underdog because, they've also got Supercross for Nashville on there. I know CT is a big Supercross fan. We got some other guys. I'll give you Jet Lawrence, better than 2.5. Never heard of him before, but he's got a cool name. So that's my Supercross play of the week for you.
Love it. Absolutely love it. All right, let's see. We get to some Talladega bets, Cody. How are we feeling about that?
All right, Rod, before we do that, NASCAR likes to pray before the start of the races and everything. So I brought today, I don't know if you could see the wording, but the NASCAR Gambling Bible here. I've got it. I would like to read a passage from it, Rod. And the Lord said, the one commandment for betting on super speedways shall be fade Kyle Larson. The Lord has spoken. Don't argue with the Lord. So that is your reading of today's Bible from the NASCAR Gambling Bible version 2021. Sure, we'll go with that. Anyways, Rod, Kyle Larson. Look, it's coming every single time. Kyle Larson, the greatest driver in the entire world. Sorry, Max Verstappen. Larson is the best. You put him in anything, he's fast. You put him in the Indy cars a couple weeks ago, second place in the test. All this stuff. He shows up at all these dirt tracks, wins in everything, anything. He's great at everywhere and everything except for super speedways, Rod. Now, I did mention he has that one super speedway win in the Xfinity Series. Good for him, but not been so great for him in the Cup Series, Rod. 1 for 43 on finishing inside the top 5 on super speedways in his career. Now, that one top 5 did come here at Talladega, so we'll give him props for that. Here's his finishes recently, Rod. 15th, 33rd, 18th. He had a 4th place. That was, spring a couple years ago. That was the one good run. 37th, 40th, 38th, 24th, 11th, 40th. Not good, Rod. So we're going to fade Kyle Larson as we do. Going over to the Caesars speakeasy again. Again, if you don't know how to get in this one, hit us up on the Discord because trying to help people figure it out. But Kyle Larson was at 11.5, Rod. We've, through the Discord, moved this to 12.5 now. So we'll give it out officially on here as 12.5. I don't care where it's at, really, because I'm going to take the over, rather, which means we're finishing worse than 12.5. It's minus 110 over on Caesars. This is the bet of the week to place right here. Kyle Larson, Rod, is going to show up. He might win stage 1. He might win stage 2. He's going to be running up front all day. It's going to look great. But he cannot avoid it. He never does. You're going to be thinking the whole race, this fucking guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Look how good Kyle Larson is today. They've been talking about him all day. He's up front. He's constantly in the top 5. He's running up here. It might come on the last lap, Rod. It might come in overtime as it has a couple of times, but it's coming. Kyle Larson just cannot finish these races at super speedways, and self-admittedly, he doesn't like them. Self-admittedly, he struggles with them. And it's the one thing Kyle Larson can't do in a race car good. One time in 43 career super speedway starts in the Cup Series, Rod, has he been inside the top 5. And it's not like he's finished 6th place a ton of times either. I don't know what the top 10 number is. I didn't look that up, but it's not good. So you fade Kyle Larson. We'll start that by saying worse than 11.5. Now it's a 12.5. So we'll still take it that way. And then Eric Jones, I'm going to take under 17.5, minus 115. So finishing better than Rod. Eric Jones, I wanted to give out his top 10 number, but that's been absolutely nuked. It's down to plus 110. So he's plus 110, minus actually on some books for a top 10. But yet they have his over-under at 17.5. So it tells you what you need to know. Eric Jones finishes here previously. He did finish 26th in the fall, Rod. But before that, 6th, 9th, a 27th sprinkled in there, 2nd, 5th. So of the last 8 races, 6 times he's been 9th or better. Eric Jones to finish better than 17.5 over on Caesars.
Yeah, and it's for Eric Jones to finish in the top 15. That seems like a very doable thing for him. And then, of course, the one rule that we always follow on super speedways. And I understand, guys. I know that if Kyle Larson does jump up and have a good finish, I love that all you guys are calling your shots, and I hope he does for your guys' sake. But every time somebody calls their shot on Kyle Larson, that shot goes awry. It
and like the thing is,
and goes out somewhere else.
The thing is too is like Kyle Larson's good during the race at them, and rain could be a factor this weekend. Maybe he wins a rain-shortened race or something. Like I wouldn't be completely shocked if eventually he wins a race or he finishes 4th again like he did before. But Rod, we've bet on this every single time we come to super speedways. And I mean, it's like Austin Hilltop at this point. Like, you've been on it 100 times and it's cashed 98 times. The 2 times it burns you, oh, well, like, who cares? If it burns you, it burns you. But more times than not, it does. And again, he's going to look good. And then boom, it shows up and you're like, oh, there's Kyle Larson. Just can't. And it's almost never his fault. He's just always in the wrong place at the wrong time, which is part of the strategy of betting on super speedways.
Yeah. I would say too, that if there was top 10s in like the first stage, that would be a great way to get in on him. Obviously earlier in Daytona, he was second at the end of stage 1, but like Cody said, at the end of the race, it's not always there. So
yeah. Well, and he's like they're trying to bait you into betting him, Rod. He's like boosted at Caesars at 21 to 21 to 1 or whatever. And everybody, and it's like, oh, Kyle Larson getting this big number. Like, you might be able to get him to win a stage, which I don't mind at all. Take that, because he's good during the race. It's just he can't hit it. So gotta do it.
All right. So I'm going to fade another Kyle, and this one is Kyle Busch. I actually found the speakeasy. Man, somebody let me have the phrase to get in there. So I managed to find it on my desktop, because yes, I use a website still to get my stats, but I'm going to fade Kyle F. Busch because young Kyle F. Busch is it's just somebody worth fading lately, right? It's not anything against his driving style. And yes, I understand that he actually did have a decent finish at a super speedway-esque race in Atlanta earlier in the season, right? With his 3rd place finish in Atlanta. But this is a full-on super speedway. And if you look at where he finished in the Daytona 500, you have to scroll and scroll and scroll until you get to 12th. Which is exactly where this number is at by the hook. But if you look at where he's been here on this track over the last couple of seasons, right? It's so yo-yoed. And if you go back to 2019, or 19th finish in the fall of 2019, 32nd in the spring of 2020, 27th in the fall of 2020. And then you go 18th in 2021 and 27th in 2021. Now, here's where it kind of got a little crazy, because he did have a 3rd place finish in Talladega in 2022, and he actually won at Dega in the first race that he actually took the track in the number 8 car, right? But then he followed that up in the fall with a 25th place finish on this track. This season, Kyle Busch has been more yo-yo than a kid's yo-yo, right? His average finishing position right now, 15.8. Talked about that 12th place at Daytona, 3rd place in Atlanta, 26th at Vegas, 22nd at Phoenix, 25th at Bristol, 9th at Austin, 20th at Richmond, 16th at Martinsville, and then he got back into the top 10 at Fort Worth, but that was more strategy than anything really that got him there. So it's not as if he's running well. And on this particular track, I understand that chaos can ensue and anything can happen in anyone. But if you're not running well, and to quote one of our good friends, if you are running back with the squirrels, you're going to get your nuts cracked. And that is where Kyle Busch has been running lately. And he's about to get his nuts cracked. And he may not even finish this race. So that's why I'm giving, it's not personal KFB. It's only business. I know.
Yes, it's your brother trying to defend you, because the Rod, nobody's enjoying your take on Kyle Busch here, Rod.
Nope,
I think the entire chat is in on Kyle Busch this week. So I know he's the most previous winner here. Look, when it comes to betting these finishing positions, and again, for Caesars, if you've got the option of going to Caesars, you go into the auto tab and you just click like the drop down go to the auto tab, you click NASCAR, and then on the drop down, it's got the 2 boosted plays. Under that is the name of the race. You click on that, it opens up a whole nother section that, for whatever reason, they make hard to access. That's where these are at. There's a ton of plays in there as far as finishing position. There's like 13 or 14. I mean, there's a lot of them. So, but again, these seem to disappear late in the week. So if you listen to this Tuesday as we're recording it, or Wednesday here, I would get in on it. And again, with super speedways, Rod, finishing position, you're going to tend to lean under. I know I took Eric Jones over, right? But in general, under's the better play, because guys wreck out of these things. That's what happens more than it doesn't. And so you've got to kind of go that way.
Indeed. Although, Robert, I chose violence. You know what, Robert, with my day, I definitely chose violence.
Yes,
I was like,
I'm not surprised Rod has some violence today.
I didn't mean to come in feisty again, but I got to tell you, I'm coming in hot today. So, all right, Cody, where are we going next?
Ash talking about top 20s here. I really hope that we get some top 20s. I don't know if that's an overseas type of thing, but I don't know.
Wait,
Andrew
hold on.
said also he found. Oops.
Oh,
he found
sorry,
the
he
back
found
door,
it,
so
but I want to lead.
Welcome to the Caesars Speakeasy.
I want to lead Boji Joe to the speakeasy. Look, if you, because I was just talking about this, it does work on computers and web pages. All you have to do is click on the name of the race. So if you are on the tab, right, where you go to you click on NASCAR GEICO 500, you can click on like future bets, right? But click on the name of the race and the date underneath, and it takes you to the special Super Speakeasy menu where you can find it. That's what I did, because I was like, what the hell, where am I going? And so I clicked on it and there it was. So Boji Joe, hopefully you get in there, and hopefully the rest of you guys can find that as well, because that's where it's at. And then of course it's under finished position once you get into that speakeasy. So
yeah, again, why they're hiding it from us and making it fucking difficult, I don't know, but we got to take advantage of it, right? If you're able to get it, I know not everybody's been able to get it. Unfortunately, that's just how things go, right? Not everybody has the same options, because it's state to state and not just nationally good, because, why help everyone out, Rod? But anyways, I don't know if I've mentioned fading Kyle Larson before, but head-to-heads, this is the other way to fade Kyle Larson. Look, I am pretty much against taking head-to-heads on super speedways, except for two reasons. If you get a big plus money on one side of a head-to-head, worth taking, or if it's against Kyle Larson, Rod. Caesars has William Byron, minus 130 against Kyle Larson, taking that. They've also got Ryan Blaney on ESPN bet at minus 120. Why they chose these two guys to match up with Kyle Larson makes no fucking sense at all. I just read off how bad Kyle Larson is at super speedways and here. Rod, so let's start with William Byron here. He just won the Daytona 500. Okay, so this season he's been good on the super speedway, right? He was second place here in the fall, 7th in the spring. And then his previous finishes, 12th, 15th. Roddy finished 36th, but guess who he beat? Kyle Larson, who finished 37th that day. A 2nd, a 4th, and 11th place. He's won the head. So Larson missed a couple of races, which actually William Byron won one of those, but when he was suspended here at Talladega. But in the 10 races they've been head-to-head together at Talladega, William Byron has 8 times beat Kyle Larson. It's not even close. Again, 8 out of 10 times. Give me that every time. Minus 130 on William Byron. For Ryan Blaney, Rod, arguably the best super speedway racer in the entire Cup Series right now. His combined finish or average finish over the last 3 races at Talladega, Rod, 1.66. First and 2 seconds the last 3 races here. And he's up against Kyle Larson, who's finished worse than 33rd in 4 of the last 8 races here. It makes no sense. And you look at Ryan Blaney's finishes: 1st, 2nd, 11th, 15th, 9th, 25th, 1st. Blaney's won 6 out of the last 7 head-to-heads here against Kyle Larson. So, again, you just have to fade Kyle Larson here. I know, we wouldn't do this anywhere else because he's so good, but it always comes up at the super speedways. It's been extremely profitable over the few years we've been doing this show, and prior to that, when I was just doing it by myself, Rod. So, you got to fade Kyle Larson here. And Caesars has Byron over him minus 130 and Blaney over him at minus 120. I mean, honestly, if you're getting any matchup against Kyle Larson other than maybe Martin Truex Jr., I'm probably going to take a look at it but then you're also giving 2 of the best guys, which makes no sense. So get these early before these numbers are going to change, because people realize this stuff as we go. Obviously, we're telling people about it too, but people realize these types of things, and you got to get on these before these numbers change. Yeah.
And again, it's all about fading Larson, which I can't fault you on that one, because that is our biggest commandment. So I will take you up on that one as well. You want to talk about choosing violence? This next bet, I definitely am choosing violence. And I'm taking 2 guys who probably have no business being both in the top 10, let alone each individually in the top 10, and smashing them together. I like this number because Dega. This is a because Dega type of a bet. All right. So I'm going to take both John Hunter Nemechek and Josh Berry to be inside of the top 10 at 14-1. The case for Josh Berry would be a little bit more difficult to make, so I'm just going to say that John Hunter Nemechek already has a top 10 finish at a super speedway this season. He did finish 7th in the Daytona 500. That's kind of where the handicap begins and ends, because the rest of the season for Legacy Motor Club it has not been ideal. Let me pull back on the criticism and just say to him, it has not been ideal. However, John Hunter Nemechek does have 2 top 10 finishes on the season. That 7th place at Daytona and his 6th place at Bristol. But the last few finishes have been absolutely miserable. 21st, 25th, 36th, 34th, crashed out of both of the last 2 races for that. So I'm just hoping that he can find, because the Toyotas we know are fast. We know all of those Toyotas are fast. And we know that now that there's a couple more in the mix, they tend to run better together on these super speedways, as evident by the Daytona 500. Christopher Bell was in 3rd place. Bubba Wallace was in 5th place. And it was John Hunter and Eric Jones, both of the Legacy Motor Club boys, battling back there in 7th and 8th. So maybe they find friends again, and maybe they run in the top 10 again. I'd like to hope that maybe they've, given enough at the tea time party that they're at to garner some goodwill. So give me John Hunter Nemechek to have yet another top 10 finish in there. And then, like I said, I'm throwing in Josh Berry as kind of a bundle, because 14-1 seems pretty good for a couple of these guys. That 4 car's not bad. It actually looks like it's been running well enough, but again, the finishes are not necessarily where they're supposed to be. His average finish, 24.3, really far from a top 10. He's got no top 10s, but he's been running around that area. He's just gotten a bad luck a few times. Crashed out of Atlanta, right? He started 14th in that race. That's pretty close to top 10. He started 2nd at Bristol, finished 12th, 11th at Richmond. So the 4 car is there. SHR, obviously part of a pretty large Ford contingent that likes to stick together and likes to do things together. So are they going to win this race? No. But can they find their way into the top 10? Yeah. And I think if anybody can do it this week, it's Josh Berry. He can keep his nose clean and manage to get in there. And then hopefully those 2 Toyotas park alongside of him, and we get a top 10 finish for both Berry and Nemechek and cash a 14-1 along the way.
Rod, I think one of those guys might be able to win this race. So I'll talk about that in a little bit. Next up for me, going to get to the top 10 market. Barry asking Gilliland top 10. He's 3-1. You can definitely look at it. The top 10s are not what top 10s used to be at super speedways, Rod. There used to be so much value. You used to be able to make a lot of money. You used to be able to bet a ton of them and just hope 1 or 2 hits and you're good. It's tough pickings now with top 10. So it is pretty light. And yeah, Nick bringing up Corey LaJoie's plus 180. I like it, Rod, but I'm not even on that this week. Like, I usually run a Corey LaJoie car lift at super speedways, but I got some bets on him this week, but not so much that. Also wanted to answer Boji Joe's question real quick. Which 2 drivers is SHR going to drop, assuming Tony keeps Josh? He's not keeping Josh. He's going to keep Briscoe and Noah. Priest is out for sure. Josh Berry also going to be out. So assuming they sell those charters, which is the rumor. All right, Rod, top 10 market. We're going all the way to the bottom, trying to make some money here. Over on Hard Rock, they've got BJ McLeod top 10 plus 1,200, so 12-1 for BJ McLeod. Is BJ McLeod the best race car driver? No. He's in that 78 car. They're only racing certain races. But, Rod, the reason they race certain races is, 1, purse money, like you talked about a couple of weeks ago on Dale Jr.'s show, but also because he's got a chance to do well at races like this, and we know that he can. 18th place last spring, Rod. That right there is all I need to know. He was 8 spots outside of being inside the top 10, and you're getting him at 12-1. How long does it take to gain 8 spots at a super speedway? About half of a second. It's that quick to get that. So this is, as Boji Joe says, Cody hoping for a bunch of wrecks. I like it. Not that I'm hoping for it necessarily, but that's what I'm planning for, because BJ's the type of driver going to keep himself clean in the back, and attrition is his friend. And he knows that's the game, and he plays that game well. Again, they're picking and choosing. I was really impressed. I'm pretty sure it was the Dale Jr. Download Reloaded or whatever that they had BJ on a couple of weeks ago talking about it. And I was impressed with everything he had to say and how they're trying to approach this and how they're putting effort into it. Rod, don't forget, they sold that charter for $40 million last year. He's got some money to put into this car and make it decent. And we know you don't have to have a great car at Talladega. Keep up with the pack, He might not even have to keep up with the pack. He could be 2 laps down at one point and still cash his bet for you if you get enough chaos later on. So I like BJ McLeod at this number. Again, where everything's so watered down, he's all the way at the bottom, but he's capable of doing it. Remember the duels at Daytona, Rod? He was running up front, leading those duels for a little while. Ended up, getting squirrely and falling back, and Jimmy just beat him at the line, right? So he didn't make the Daytona 500, but he knows how to do it. He's a veteran at this point. So I like BJ McLeod at that number. Also going to take Mr. Fast Pasta, Anthony Alfredo. He's plus 750 over on Hard Rock. Again, it's all about the number, Rod. We think there's going to be some whatever. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but we think that some people are not going to finish this race, right? Alfredo's got 2 starts at Talladega, Rod. Now, these were in the front row car when he was running in that 38 car for a full-time season, but 10th and 12th place. He knows how to finish 10th at Talladega, plus 750. He's in that Beard Motorsports car, which isn't the greatest car ever, but it's a decent car. We've seen guys finish well in it. Austin Hill, Noah Gragson, Brennan Gaughan. They've done well in it. A top 10 for Alfredo, not out of the question. And at plus 750 over on Hard Rock, it's a great number. For Corey LaJoie, Rod, like I said, I don't love his top 10 number, so I went with this top 5 number. 6-1 over on DraftKings. 4th in the fall here, so he can do it, right? He's finished in 11 of 12 of his starts here. Again, just getting to the end is the most important thing you need to know about these guys if you're going to bet on them. So it doesn't matter that Kyle Larson leads half of this race and runs up front. If he can't finish at the end of the day, Corey LaJoie can finish at the day. Had a 7th place finish here in a Go Fast car in 2019. That car was absolute trash. 6 of the last 7 at Daytona. He's been inside the top 10. 2 top 5s at Atlanta. Then he almost won another race. He's been good on super speedways. You know how much I love Corey LaJoie. Here's the obligatory Corey LaJoie picture. It has to make the YouTube show. So yeah, that was a loaded box, Rod. But BJ McLeod, 12-1 on Hard Rock, top 10. Fast Pasta, Anthony Alfredo, top 10 at plus 750. Corey LaJoie, top 5, plus 600.
Gotta love every single one of them. And any chance to use the phrase fast pasta in the NASCAR Gambling Podcast is definitely reason to celebrate. So, yeah, I mean, again, it's all about just making sure. And I'll even talk about the attrition rate and actually what we can expect in a bet here in a little bit, because as much as, yes, attrition is going to be a part of this.
Word I was looking for, attrition.
Attrition is going to be a part of this. You said it. You said that.
Did I? I can't.
You did.
That was a long time ago. I don't remember.
We need to get both of us checked for early onset dementia, because it's starting to hit right now. No, but listen, again, these top 10 bets, they're all long shots for a reason, because, who knows?
Ooh, Corey LaJoie's 3-1 on Bet365 for a top 10.
For a top 10?
Wow.
Let
me double check that that's what what Ash is talking about, because if that's the case, then we're adding that. All right, continue.
All right. Speaking of players or drivers inside of a certain finishing position, these are both drivers that I feel can take some risks this week. Obviously, we know that Denny Hamlin can take all the risks he wants this week to just go out and try to keep winning races. So definitely going to keep Denny Hamlin in mind. And then Brad Keselowski. Look, this guy just needs to take a chance to get a good finish right now. This RFK squad is frustrated. I know Brad was talking about he wants to find some good finishes. Yep, there we go. RFK.
Oh, did you get to RFK? Here you go.
Okay, here we go. This is where we're at. So Brad Keselowski, again, you saw it. He was like, I don't know if I deserve this finish, but boy, we need to start putting together some better races. Here's an opportunity to start, right? When all things are pretty much equal and everybody's on almost an equal playing field. This is an opportunity for Brad to kind of get him and Chris Buescher into the right strategy to be around the front. Now, I'm not asking either one of these guys to win the race, but I am saying that hopefully both Brad Keselowski and Denny Hamlin can finish inside of the top 5. If this happens, it's a 7-1 for both of these guys to finish inside of the top 5. For Brad Keselowski, he's actually got 3 top 5 finishes this season. Believe it or not, quietly 3 top 5 finishes this season. 3rd at Bristol, 4th at Phoenix, 2nd last week at Texas. Now, on top of that, though, his average finishing position, not the best. 17th, right? You can't even wrap your head around that, right? Outside of it, 33rd at Daytona, 33rd at Atlanta, crashed out of both of those. So not a good start to a super speedway track here in the season. But in this race in particular, on Talladega, on this track, in 3 of the last 6 races, he has had top 5 finishes. 2 of those were top 3. So one was a win in 2021. The second one was a second place finish in 2021 in the fall. He got a 5th place finish in the spring of 2023. So that's his best finish in the 6 car. Last season, Cody, he started 5th and he crashed out, but he did lead 5 laps, ended up with a 32nd place finish. So this 6 car, he has had some speed. He finished 5th, started 5th, and like I said, just was on the wrong end of a bad deal. So I think Brad Keselowski can find himself around the front if he does. And then, here we go. Boji Joe saying, I remember when Brad said he was going to wreck people in practice on a super speedway. That's his mentality. So hopefully he continues that. As for Denny Hamlin, particularly on this track, has been semi-pleasant to him. Started on the pole 3 years in a row, or 3 times in a row, rather, 2020, 2021, and 2021. Has turned 4 finishes so far. 3 finishes so far into top 5s. He won in 2020, a 5th place in 2022, and a 3rd place most recently in the fall of 2023. So we know Denny Hamlin can get things done, right? I mean, he even leads laps on this one. He has led a lap in all of the last 8 races on this track, going back to 2020. So he's been in front, right? And Denny can pull himself out. I don't know what it is about that guy. He can feel the energy of the race. He can feel super speedway energy. And when he knows that shit's about to go south, he pulls himself out, waits in the back for a little while, and then goes back up to the front when it's time. So Denny Hamlin for sure can do that, which means he can get a good finish, which in my opinion is a top 5 this week, because he can take some chances. So give me Brad K and Denny Hamlin both to finish inside of the top 5 at 7-1.
Rod's looking for the opposite of chaos here, which is good. You got to build for both sides, right? You got 2 of the best super speedway drivers in the series. Again, I mentioned Blaney earlier. These guys are right there neck and neck with them. Keselowski is going to bring it back with the trophy or on the whatever you always say, Rod. I can't remember, but
with your hood or on it.
Yes, he's going to be one way or the other. Getting both of these, I like it. So, all right, Rod. Next up for me, I am going to jump over to the top Toyota market. By the way, too, did look. Ash was correct. Corey LaJoie is 3-1 over on Bet365. So, adding that as an official play. So this is going to end up being a Corey LaJoie car lift just sprinkled throughout the show. So we'll slowly just keep cranking that car lift up as we go along, Rod. But I'm going to jump over into the top Toyota market. Look, talk about this so often, but this is just a large group, Rod. You got 2, 4, 6, 8 Toyotas entered into this race. You go to the bottom of Denny Hamlin's at the top of this course. You just talked about him, how great he is, but he's not immune from wrecking, right? Bubba Wallace, great here as well. Same thing. Christopher Bell is up and down. Ty Gibbs, I love, but the number's not big enough. Reddick is up and down. Truex runs great throughout the day. Can't finish at the end of the day. So I'm going all the way to the bottom, Rod. I'm going to take the 2 longer shots in here. So going to 2 different books, too, because they got different numbers. Eric Jones on Caesars is at plus 850 to be the top finishing Toyota. John Hunter Nemechek, while he's only 15-1 on Caesars, if you have Bet365, 25-1 to be the top finishing Toyota. Again, you taking 2 of these guys, which means they only have to beat 6 other drivers, Rod. You can finish 30th in this and cash this bet if that's what it comes to. Again, Denny Hamlin's great at super speedways. Bubba Wallace is great. Gibbs is good. But if these guys get caught up in wrecks, which is what happens a lot, you're giving me 2 guys that I really like. I talked about Eric Jones already earlier, Rod. All these great finishes. What was it? Top 9 in 6 or in 8 last 8 races here. 6th of the last 8 races. He's been 9th or better. That's where I was trying to get to, Rod. So already love him anyways. Now you're getting him just to be the top finishing Toyota. And again, could be 30th, could be 10th, could be 15th, right? Doesn't necessarily have to even be in the top 5 or anything like that just to beat the other Toyotas based on what happens. And for John Hunter Nemechek, Rod, he's actually not been too bad here. He's got 2 career starts on Talladega. Again, he was also in that 38 car like Alfredo was. 8th place in both of those starts, Rod. 25-1 to be the top finishing Toyota. And it has all he has to do is maybe finish 8th, maybe not even finish that good. I'll take it. He's got 3 starts at Daytona in the Cup Series, 7th, 11th, and 11th. Again, getting to the end of the races is the most important thing for these guys you're betting on. 21st in the one Atlanta start, but he made it to the end of the race, so you'll take that. He's got 2 top 6 finishes here in the Truck Series, Rod, and he was leading coming off of turn 4 to win another truck race when he got spun out. Thank God, because I cashed a massive bet. I think that was the day Spencer Boyd won, actually. Whoever it was, I cashed a bet on them, which I was very happy about. So I very vividly remember John Hunter Nemechek coming to the win and getting spun out and not winning it. But so he's been good here in other series, and he, he's been good here in his few starts in the Cup Series as well. So again, you're just making this a big group, taking the big numbers. Eric Jones plus 850, John Hunter 25-1, both to be the top Toyotas.
Yeah, well, again, I love the John Hunter part of it, because if that John Hunter does finish up at the top end of the Toyotas, that means he's probably cashing that top 10 bet. So love that. So I'll back you on that one for sure. All right, I am going to go to my winning car number, because guess what? I want to, and I think this is one of the better bets in this, because you're betting half the field essentially. And in a super speedway, you might as well just take it. And if you really want, you can figure out a way to make both sides of it work for you. But I'm going to give you the winning car number as odd. This one's at -110. Who does that give you? It gives you Ross Chastain, who pretty much, I think he can win this race. I'm not going to give him as an outright.
He's won at Talladega before, Rob.
But he's won at Talladega before, right? You give Austin Dillon, who has won on a super speedway before, right? It gives you Kyle Larson, who will never win on a super speedway, but he may accidentally win on a super speedway. Who knows? It gives you Corey LaJoie, who we know Cody loves and admires. It gives you Chase Elliott, who is the winner of the last race, feeling it, maybe could win this one. It gives you Denny Hamlin. It gives you Cody Ware. Hell yeah. It gives you Chris Buescher. It gives you Truex. It gives you Harrison Burton. It gives you Bubba Wallace. It gives you Daniel Hemrick. It gives you Ryan Preece, Eric Jones, Tyler Reddick, Ricky Stenhouse. I mean, he's won a super speedway race before too. Justin Haley, who's pretty damn good on some of these, gives you Zane Smith. It gives you Carson Hocevar, and it gives you Daniel Suarez, who we know won Atlanta, which was a super speedway-esque. So look, this is a pretty loaded half of the field. And I know that the other half is almost as loaded as well, but feels like this is probably the better group of it, where you're probably going to get a winner from. So I like the under in this one. Like I said, I'm not going to sit here and back up every single one of these guys with stats, but if I'm on a super speedway and I'm going to bet half the field, I'll bet the heavier half, in my opinion. I know even has Blaney and Gibbs and, some of these other guys, Christopher Bell and
well, those guys are all even, Rod.
Yeah.
So they're not. Well, I see what you're saying. They're the other half. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
And this is a good way. Again, if you only place one bet on this race, 3 laps into it, when somebody decides to be stupid and wreck off the field, and your bet's got, like, this is one of those bets that you're going to have something at the end, and you're gonna have somebody who has a chance, because on the last lap, Rod, there's gonna be 10 different guys that have a chance to win this race. Like, again, as you're betting that's what you have to expect. And if you've just got all the guys with odd numbers, great, right? Then you've got a lot of options. So even if you take the even side, like, pick one side, take it, because it'll give you an action guaranteed till the end, because you're going to have some of those guys in there, unless randomly all the odd cars wreck out, which would be pretty odd if I did say so myself, Rod. Boji Joe wants to know if we're fading the Fords, Rod. You're not fading the Fords, and I'm not fading the Fords either. Ford, no wins in all 3 series. They're the champion of all 3 series last year, Rod. Don't have a win at all this season. Little interesting for Ford, but good chance this weekend. Of course, obviously, Ryan Blaney's good here, and they've got some other good guys, Rod. I'm going to attack the Ford market here and go with top finishing Ford. Now, this is similar to the Toyota argument, but obviously there's more Fords, but it's still not as packed as there is with the Toyota group. You've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 Fords entered into this. So I'm going to take the same thing. I'm going to go about halfway in the middle of the field here, pick 2 guys, and all they have to do is beat the other 12 Ford drivers, which is, of course, possible. And we know these races can go anyways. You've got Keselowski at the top here, tied with Joey Logano. Both of those guys, it's crazy Ryan Blaney's not the favorite to be the top finishing Ford, but both those guys great at these tracks. Ryan Blaney's good. Chris Buescher has won, Super Speedway before. Cindric has won before. But I'm going down past those guys, Rod. Give me Michael McDowell and Noah Gragson. Both these guys are 16-1. McDowell's 16-1 over on Bet365. Gragson 16-1 over on Caesars. I like both these guys for the top finishing Ford. Again, there's just not a lot of value in betting the top. I could give you Ryan Blaney as the guy, but he's the favorite. You're not getting a great number on it. He gets caught up in a wreck early, and it's not great, right? So Michael McDowell, Rod, let us not forget, this guy's pretty fucking good at super speedways, right? He's won the Daytona 500 before. We've seen it. We know how good he is. Last season, a little bit rough at Talladega for him, 21st and 35th, so rough season. But 2022, just 2 seasons ago in this car, Rod, 3rd and 8th place in those 2 races. If you're telling me at 16-1 and he finishes 3rd, he could be the best finishing Ford, absolutely. Even in 8th, he could still be the best finishing Ford there. He was 3rd in April of 21 here. He was 5th in 2019 here. He's been good here before. Like I said, won the Daytona 500. He's got 12 top 15 finishes at Daytona in the past, Rod. Really, really good super speedway driver. He hasn't really shaken it up or what, it's been a few years since he won the Daytona 500. But don't forget about him because he's a guy that shows up. For Noah Gragson, obviously, we've got a much smaller look at the thing. But in his 3 starts here, 2 of the 3 he's finished at the end of the day in the top 20. So again, getting to the end is important. He was 9th place in the Daytona 500 earlier this season, Rod. His first super speedway run in this 10 car. Had a 5th place finish at Daytona in August of 22. By the way, that was in that 62 car that Alfredo's in, where I made the case for his top 10 earlier. 12th place at Atlanta last spring. So he's had some good finishes. Again, this is a place where you can take guys you want to bet on. Gragson's a guy that I like to bet on. I like to root for, and you're getting a good number on him. So he's also won here in the Xfinity Series, top 11 and 7 of his 8 starts in Xfinity as well. So Noah Gragson's been good here. Going to take both these guys as a top Ford. And top Chevrolet, Rod, 20-1, Corey LaJoie. No explanation needed.
Nope, none at all, especially at 20-1 for sure. So, all right. So this one's going to probably go against the whole chaos theory of everything, right? My next bet is actually on cautions, and the total number of cautions is set at 6.5 at -115. You may say to yourself, how the hell is it that low? Well, this is actually a pretty sharp number if you're looking at it. In last year's fall race on this track, there was only 4 cautions for 19 laps. This is a one that can get kind of strung out a little bit. Talladega is not like Daytona where, it settles. This one can settle in a little bit and have a stretch where there's not a lot of craziness, because maybe the big one happens early like it has before, and everybody's like, oh, maybe need to take the pressure off of this a little bit, ride around, log some laps, and then get back to the front when it matters, because this track, it's not really a necessity to be in the top 10 even in most of the instances. Now, around stage breaks, you may end up getting a little bit of jostling because everybody wants the stage points. But for the most part, some of the stretches of this can get kind of stretched out a little bit. 8 cautions in the GEICO 500 of 2023. But in the race before that, 6 cautions for 25 laps in the fall race on that one. In the spring race of 2020, 6 cautions as well for 28 laps in 2020. 5 cautions in the fall of 2021. So again, 7 cautions in the spring of 2021. Is that more than 6.5? Yeah, but still, this is in the next gen era. There haven't been as many cautions as there were at the end of 2020 in the Yellowwood 500 in the fall. 13 cautions in that race in the fall of 2020. So, like I said, 8 cautions in the spring of 2020 in the GEICO 500. So again, this is just going to, I don't know that there's going to be nearly as many cautions for cause. When they happen, they will be spectacular. Abso-freaking-lutely. But one of those big ones tends to calm people down a lot, and it stops people from causing another caution directly after. So yeah, give me the under 6.5 cautions at -115.
Boji Joe checking in says my Nana could drive this car Sunday and not wreck till 2 to go. That's a decent point, actually, because it does seem so. Talladega of the 3 is the biggest super speedway, right? There's kind of more room to work there. Usually it seems like we'll get one early. they get a little antsy, and then everybody's like, okay, calm down. A lot of riding around, a lot of pack racing. But we've seen there's arguments to be made both ways here. So potentially rain. Look, it's Tuesday evening right now. They don't know what it's going to do in 2 hours, Rod, let alone on Sunday. So who knows if it rains? Who knows if it doesn't? There's not lights at Talladega, so that could be a factor. Now, that could go either way. They're racing more intensely. We see more cautions leading up to the rain, or there's only half the race, so there's less chance for cautions, right? So that could go either way on that side of things too. But it does tend to, and it seems like lately, I know like going to overtime is like plus 180. I think I saw that on Caesars maybe. But it seems like they usually wait till the last lap to wreck now, and there's just one big wreck at the end too. So I think it could go that way. You've got the 2 built-in cautions, obviously, with the stages. I would lean over if I was picking, just because I tend to think chaos. But a lot of times we'll see them just kind of ride around, and it's still exciting because it's side by side at 200 miles an hour at packs. But where things kind of settle out for a while, and then the wrecking doesn't come till the end. But you get that one wreck, could turn into 6 wrecks real quickly, and 5 overtimes later, the over cashes. But don't hate your argument on the under, Rod. Let's see. A couple of Boji Joe. Chris Buescher's first win at Pocono was rained out. Actually, it was fog out, technically.
Yep.
King wants to know about thoughts on Cindric as a sleeper pick. I don't remember what Cindric's odds. What is Cindric's odds?
Not tempting enough for me.
It's Austin Cindric. That's what you have to remember, right? Which is
the bow tie.
I mean, it's only 30-1. Like, he's won a Daytona, so we know he can do it, right? And he's good. But there's other people I would rather take in that range. Brandon saying Byron over Larson down to 160 already. Look, if you're listening to this on the podcast, again, we appreciate it. We love you. We understand you can't always listen live, but if you're able to listen live, get in on some of this stuff early. Shit moves quick when we start talking about it. Enough people are listening, Rod, and enough people are putting money down on this. A lot of times we'll move stuff in the Discord before we even get to the show, so you should be over there. But if you can listen live, do it. Let's see. Also wanted to touch on King said he's sprinkling money everywhere this week. That's the best way to do it. And Phil over on Full Tank with Phil, he always uses a shotgun analogy, right? Like, shotgun it, right? Spread a little bit of money out everywhere, so you've got somebody in the fight later on. He said if there was a bet on the 54 crew fucking stuff up, he'd be all in on that. Big Ty Gibbs fan over there. Of course, we know. Let's see. So, yeah, 365. Oh, McLeod is 14-1. Ash says, that's great. Love all the comments, guys. Keep them going. It's great.
Indeed. All right. Well, Cody, let's say who we're going to think is going to be at the end of this and win this race.
All right, Rod. I know that we always like to laugh at how many winners I have, and I've got a lot of them. But like my friend Phil says, as I just mentioned, the best way to do this is shotgun spray, right? You just kind of throw it all around. So, yes, I'm giving you 5 winners today, but 4 of them are at 30-1 or bigger. We know how these super speedways can go, Rod. You've got to just have a little bit of action everywhere. Get some dogs in the fight, because 4 of these guys could wreck out before we're halfway through this race, and you've only got 1 left at that point anyways, or maybe they'll all be up there and Daniel Hemrick will come through and take them all out at the same time like he likes to do with our super speedway bets. But, Rod, my winners, that being said, Chase Elliott, I'm going back to the well. He's 12-1 this week, Rod. So far, it's early in the week, right? But I haven't seen a lot of people on him. Again, I've talked about this as a Chase Elliott fan on the recap show, which you should be listening to. That was Sunday night, actually. He is the most streaky driver in the entire garage. Things are going well for Chase Elliott right now. Why can't they continue to go well, Rod? Look back at his last 4 races here. 7th, 12th, 1st, and 7th. He's always in these races, always down at the end with a chance to go. He's got 8 top 10 finishes and 16 starts here, Rod. Half of his 16 starts, he's been inside the top 10 as they cross the line at the end. That means he's got a chance to win in every single one of those. He's finished at the end 13 of the 16 races. Again, getting to the end of these races. There's nothing more important when you're betting on these guys than just surviving to the end, because if you can get to the end, Rod, you might be 2 laps down. All of a sudden, we get all these cautions at the end. You get your laps back. Then there's crashes, attrition. Boom. You're right back in the mix. You're never out of it at these races. He's got 2 wins here. He won at Atlanta recently, a couple of second-place finishes at Daytona as well. 5 races here where he's led at least 18 laps or more. 2 of those races where he's led over 40 laps. He can play that Pied Piper role, right, where that number 9 car gets out front. He's just leading the way. We've seen it a ton at Atlanta, especially since the repave. He's done it at Daytona as well. He can do it here also. Chase Elliott, 12-1, Rod, is a guy that I like. Also, Eric Jones, 30-1 over on FanDuel, and Chase Elliott, 12-1. That's pretty much across the board. You can find that most places. So Eric Jones, 30-1. FanDuel is where I found the best number on him. I talked about him earlier, Rod, but his last few finishes here, 26th in the fall, again, had a rough day, but before that, 6th, 9th, 27 sprinkled in there, a 2nd, a 5th. He has been good here. So like Eric Jones at 30-1. Michael McDowell, 40-1. Again, don't forget he's a good super speedway driver, Rod. I just got done talking about him. My guy, Corey LaJoie, is 60-1. You know I'm always going to bet Corey LaJoie's outright on super speedways. He can get it done on super speedways, Rod. How many times have we seen him be at these races at the end? I will say Talladega is his worst of the super speedways, but still has finished 4th here before, still has finished 7th here before. Chances to win these races. And Rod, going out on a limb here, this is kind of just my gut bet of the week. I know somebody mentioned in the chat earlier there was not a number big enough to get on this fella, but I'm on this fella this week. John Hunter Nemechek, 80-1 over on FanDuel. I like John Hunter Nemechek this week. 8th place in both of his races here in the Cup Series. Again, he's been solid, finishing in the top 11 at all 3 Daytona starts. 2 top 6 finishes in the trucks, almost won that truck race here. He's not a bad super speedway guy, a little bit under the radar, probably not a guy that many people are going to be on this week. Calling my shot. John Hunter Nemechek gets his first career Cup Series win this weekend, 80-1 on FanDuel.
I love it. All right. Well, then I'm going to give out my winner, and it is Ryan Blaney. Surprise, surprise, 11-1. Shorter than I really want it to be, but also for good reason. I mean, Ryan Blaney, if you look at Ryan Blaney, he has got the best average finish here since February of 2021, 6.7, which is better than Anthony Alfredo and Chandler Smith. I know both of those guys only have like 1 or 2 races, but better than Chase Elliott at 11.5, better than William Byron, better than Eric Jones, all these guys. And he's led 11.2% of the laps since February of 2021. No one's even really close to that. The closest one is Denny Hamlin at 8.2. Blaney's in front. Blaney is actually really good at Talladega, whether you think so or not. He's kind of the guy that flies under the radar. And believe it or not, he is actually the best finisher at super speedways in general since February of 2021. Oh, I'm sorry. Travis Pastrana is the best. His average finish is 11th in his 1 race. Sorry. No, but for Ryan Blaney, he's the one with the most races.
With at least 2 starts, he's the one with the
at
most.
With at least 13 starts, he's the best. So Ryan Blaney, 12.6 average on that in 13 races. He's got 2 wins. No one else has 2 wins in that span. 5 top 10s, or 5 top 5 rather, 7 top 10s. He's led 7.6% of the laps on super speedways. You know, it's crazy because I don't know that you really think of Ryan Blaney because he's just sort of one of those guys where he'll pop up and he'll dominate, he'll win a championship, and you'll still forget that he's really good at what he does. 2nd in Atlanta, right? He crashed out of Daytona. We didn't really
second, Rod, by
yes,
that much?
By Lightning McQueen's tongue.
Not even the full, just the tip of the tongue. Just the tip.
So Ryan Blaney got robbed of that one. So yeah, I think he's out for revenge. I think he's got a souped up car this weekend, and I think 11-1's not bad. I wish it was longer, but it's not bad. So yeah, give me Ryan Blaney to win this race at 11-1.
Yes, I'd like it. Obviously, I mean, again, top 2 in the last 3 races here. Hard to argue with that. Boji Joe saying 12-1's not big enough odds on super speedway for Elliott. Again, I think you pick one of the favorites, right? And it can be any of them. You can pick, except for Larson, I wouldn't take him. But Elliott, Hamlin, Keselowski, Logano, Blaney. Pick one of the favorites, sprinkle the rest down the board, I think is the best way to do it. Ash updating some of my bets for me, Rod. Sometimes things move around for no apparent reason, but these were not these numbers earlier. But Alfredo and McLeod are both 14-1 now for a top 10 on Bet365. So officially updating those plays to 14-1 because I just looked and yes, they are that way. So yeah, and then JDK checking in. I missed the entire show just in time for the picks and no banter. Lucky for you.
That's the way to do it.
Says, great show. Thanks for doing what you do. Rod, I have a bonus play as well. If you didn't know, DraftKings top 10 parlays are back. They've been back for a couple of weeks now, but you are able to, and you can do it with top 5s and top 3s too, but you can't cross. Like you can't do a top 5 and a top 10. You do top 10s together, you can do top 5s together, you can do top 3s together. But this is a great week for it. You want to build a couple of crazy parlays, sprinkle them out there. So I've got one, Rod. If you put $10 on it, it'll pay you $903. Are you ready? Is everyone listening? Please pay attention. This is an important part of the show. I would like to pick in this bonus top 10 parlay, Shane Van Gisbergen, the Lord Jesus Christ and Savior himself. Look, 2 for 2 in the top 5 in Xfinity and Superspeedway races. He's smart. He's going to play the right way of stay safe, stay out of trouble. Could be there at the end for a top 10. So I like putting him in this parlay. He's like 380, not quite big enough for me to want to just take it by itself, but putting him in the parlay I think is great. Tossing Eric Jones in there as well, and BJ McLeod gives you plus 89.30. Again, $10, $903. Build some fun stuff, build some crazy stuff. This is the week for it. Again, you're going to lose all of these bets. Have that mindset. You're going to lose all your DraftKings money. It's all losses. Go into it having lost it. If you come out of the smoke at the end of the day winning money, be happy and fucking enjoy it. Super Speedway betting, Super Speedway racing, it's the best there is, and I love it.
Indeed. All right. Well, if you guys saw me feverishly typing as Cody was talking this entire show, look, I got kind of robbed of 3 hours of my day, so I didn't get a chance to do the graphics. So I was doing it as we were going. So I will tell you now to, oh, wait a second. I got to get to Boji Joe real quick. Cody praying at the start and now at the end, a perfect circle.
Praying on the NASCAR Gambling Bible right here.
I'll talk about a perfect
We're
circle.
taking this Bible to Alabama this weekend and making some money with it.
Boji Joe, remind me to show you the vinyl of the Perfect Circle album that I have. So it's time to get out your pen and paper and go over the bets that we have made for the Talladega Superspeedway GEICO 500. Cody started you out with our favorite gospel of fading Larson. Take Larson over 11.5, or actually I put 12.5 because it's now 12.5 at minus 110. Hell, this could be 20.5, and we'd probably still take it at that. So Larson over 12.5 at minus 110 gave you Eric Jones over or under 17.5 at minus 115 on the Caesar Super Speedway Speakeasy. I gave you Kyle Busch over 12.5 at minus 115. Cody gave you William Byron over Kyle Larson at minus 130 and added Ryan Blaney over Larson at minus 120. I gave you both John Hunter Nemechek and Josh Berry to finish inside the top 10 at 14-1. Cody gave you BJ McLeod, a fun top 10 bet at 14-1, and Fast Pasta Anthony Alfredo as the top 10 at 14-1. Also Corey LaJoie as a top 5 car at 6-1, and this bonus one that never made the graphic, but it's still in there, Corey LaJoie as a top 10 car at 3-1. I said that both Brad Keselowski and Hamlin, I almost said Hamilton. Daughter's about to watch Hamilton this weekend, so a lot of fun. Brad K and Hamlin to finish in the top 5 at 7-1. Cody gave you Eric Jones as the top Toyota at plus 850 and John Hunter Nemechek as the top Toyota at 25-1. I gave you the winning car number as odd at minus 110. Cody gave you McDowell as the top Ford at 16-1. Gragson is the top 10 or top Ford rather at 16-1, and LaJoie is the top Chevy at 20-1. I said that there would be under 6.5 total cautions at minus 115. Cody gave you Chase Elliott at 12-1, Eric Jones at 30-1, Michael McDowell at 40-1, Corey LaJoie at 60-1, John Hunter Nemechek at 80-1 to win the race. I said Ryan Blaney would win the race, and Cody gave you the bonus top 10 parlay of SVG. Eric Jones and BJ McLeod at plus 89.30. $10 will pay you $903 for this GEICO 500 from the Talladega Super Speedway. Cody?
Rod, Xfinity Series odds have just dropped with outrights. What's your guess? What's Austin Hill?
To win this race, plus 500.
Oh, wow. You guessed way higher than I would have guessed. I would have thought like plus 150. He's plus 450 on Superbook. So I would get in on that quickly if you want Austin Hill numbers, because that likely goes down. We'll talk about Xfinity tomorrow, obviously. But here we go, Rod. Bets are in. Loaded card. If this wasn't enough bets for you, which if you're a true degenerate, it probably wasn't, tune into my article on sportsgamblingpodcast.com. It'll be out probably tomorrow, Wednesday. And I'll have a couple of bonus bets in there for you as well. Let's fucking go.
Let's go. Although I will echo my brother saying, Cody, non-gambling rated. You ever make it out our way, you wouldn't pay for a drink all weekend. That is absolutely factually correct, Cody. You would not be without a drink in your hand, and it would definitely not be something you pay for.
I appreciate that.
Gotta love it. All right, Cody. Well then, let everybody know as we go ahead and wrap this up, because listen, we've packed this thing tight for you and want you to go out and to be able to place these bets. So before they start shifting like they are already. So Cody, as we usher everybody out the door, let everyone know where they can find you outside of the confines of this space.
Yep. Follow me over on the X at Husker_Zeeb. You can find all my stuff over there. F1 Gambling Podcast is out. We did that yesterday. You can find it in your NASCAR Gambling Podcast feeds on the YouTube here as well. Look, it's just Rod and I doing the same exact show, but we're talking about F1. We're not F1 elitists. We don't have British accents over there. It's the same exact show with some fun ways to bet on F1. Of all weeks, this is probably my favorite F1 week to bet because I think we found some really good stuff. So check that out as well. Back for Xfinity tomorrow, DFS and Underdog on Thursday, and I'll be back with a special guest on Friday talking about IndyCar. So make sure you're checking that out. And let's go make some fucking money on a super speedway. Talladega, baby.
Let's go. Like Mr. McDrunkish, Mr. McDrunk Irish saying, let's go for sure. I know he loves our banter and he was live for the banter. So good to have you there. Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio, everything I got going on, whether it's here, whether it's Sportsbook Review, whether it's in between media, all that stuff going down. You can find it all there. We have had some fun. We'll have some more fun for you tomorrow, breaking down to the Xfinity Series. Until then, everyone, let's go racing and let it ride.
Another piece of